I'm Jonathan Sage-Martinson. I'm the director of the Central Corridor Funders Collaborative. So I have I'll just move towards the microphone. I have the pleasure of working with those 13 foundations you saw on the screen there, as well as all of you every day in the corridor. And it's great to see you all here this morning. As Ann said, a lot has happened in the last couple of years in the corridor, and it's my job this morning to talk just a little bit about an update about what the Funders Collaborative has been up to over that period of time. So the Funders Collaborative was founded in 2008 and came together really to help create neighborhoods of opportunity, working with all of you. How can we help support the development of neighborhoods of opportunity along the corridor? And we focus in on these four key outcomes: building a strong local economy, creating vibrant transit-oriented places, providing access to affordable housing, and then, because there are so many of you doing so much great work in the corridor, trying to help promote effective coordination and collaboration among the many partners. Over the last 5 years, we've held 24 learning sessions where we've learned alongside each of you about things that are happening in the corridor, good examples across the country that might impact our work here. We've also, the annual report in front of you says 90 grants worth about $6 million. As of 5 p.m. yesterday, we've made 105 grants worth $8 million in the corridor over the last 4 years. But with all of that, I think the most inspiring, and as you can attest, often the most difficult work, is the work of working together across sectors to help create an implementation strategy around the many community-based plans. So there's a vision: how do we work together across jurisdictions, across sectors, to really make an actionable plan? And that work, which is led by many folks in this room and takes all sorts of shapes, is really the hard work, I think, and inspiring work that makes the change we're seeing in the corridor. It also, I think, is the hard work that changes the way we work together to solve difficult social issues in this region. It's sort of changing the way we address those together. And what I'm going to do this morning, when we started doing these events, we wanted to tell you everything that was happening. We've run out of time to tell you everything that is happening in the Central Corridor, at least from our purview. So I'm going to try to hit a few highlights of things, particularly around these issues where folks are working together to create implementation strategies. So all the ones the Funders Collaborative are involved with are up on this screen. There are dozens more, as you know, of folks working together in really unique ways to make things happen in the corridor. I'm going to talk briefly about 8 of these that I think are doing interesting work at the moment. The first one I'll mention is the Big Picture Project, which is this group that has created an affordable housing strategy for the corridor. It finished that strategy a year ago. It was put together by 24 organizations and entities working together that were developers, government, finance, affordable housing advocates, neighborhood residents, and involved hundreds more through the process of developing that plan. The goal they set was a 10-year goal of preserving or building 4,500 units of long-term affordable housing and helping 1,500 households stay in their homes. Today, that plan comes with a whole host of strategies. Today, there's about a dozen initiatives underway to help achieve that goal over the next 10 years. The Joint Committee on Equal Opportunity DB, this is something the Met Council in the state of Minnesota pulled together. I think there's 80-some partners in that process to help meet the workforce and contractor inclusion goals in the corridor. And it's done just really innovative work in creating a database, LRT Works, of all the construction workers interested in doing work in the corridor, from creating a one-stop shop to support the DBs so they're able to fulfill their contracts and grow in the process, and this unique tool that helps forecast forward how firms are going to meet those workforce goals so that they have a better chance of achieving them over time. Another one that you've heard a lot about, I'm sure, is the Business Resources Collaborative, which has been together the last 4 years or so. 13 organizations, from government to business groups to nonprofits, trying to think about what's the right set of packages of supports to help businesses make it through the market change caused by construction and then eventually by the operation of this new light rail line. And of those 13 organizations, they've coordinated programs that are worth about $11 million, everything from parking to marketing to technical assistance to lending to really help businesses survive construction. Corridors to Careers is a collaboration of workforce, organizations, and economic development entities thinking about how do you better connect residents in the corridor to growing jobs in the corridor. And it's has this pilot project that's connecting people from 5 neighborhoods in job training for 3 industries that are in the corridor and are growing and expect to have jobs in the future. It's about halfway through that pilot project this year. The Central Corridor Anchor Partnership, you hear President Pribino talk a little bit about that this morning. 13 educational medical institutions along the corridor who are thinking about how they can improve both their own institutions and the neighborhoods around them by working on a couple of key goals. And they have 5 they're working on: joint purchasing, local hiring, encouraging their employees to live along the Central Corridor, paying attention to the last mile connection from the LRT stations to their campuses, and coordinating the engaged scholarship of their students working in the corridor and faculty working in the corridor. Bike and pedestrian connections is a really important issue in the corridor, and the Friendly Streets Initiative is doing some work. Michael John is here doing some work to build off of the Charles Avenue Friendly Streets Initiative, which engage residents in a new way and will help prioritize now across the corridor those bike ped transit connections for neighbors to get from their homes or businesses to the Central Corridor. The Green Line Parks and Commons is so new, there's not even anything on the slide. But is this effort underway to take the plans for parks and open space along the corridor and think about innovative ways we as a broad community can help implement those over the next few years. And finally, the Cultural Corridor, which is really helping to realize the dreams in many of those community plans about building on the unique culture and history of a place for local economic development. There's a number of initiatives that are related to that the Funders Collaborative has supported. There's a number of those nodes beginning to take shape and form along the corridor, and I think will go a long way towards helping folks not only want to stay or be able to stay in the neighborhood, but want to stay in the neighborhood because they recognize this place as the place they've always been. So that's just a brief update on those 8 examples of where folks are working together in new ways to help craft joint implementation strategies along the corridor. The last thing I'm going to do is just try to give you a sense of how at least we at the Funders Collaborative are thinking all of this begins to add up into these very tangible signs of opportunity. So we put a new page on our website now that has a map that you can manipulate to see what's going on in each of these areas across the corridor. It looks a little bit like this. And I'm going to give you just, I hope, a quick sense of what all of this adds up to across the corridor. You can sort by a number of things, and I'll go through them fairly quickly. But this is all of the affordable housing projects in the last 2 years that have either had preserved units or new units built along the corridor and their location. The 13 anchor institutions that are part of the Anchor Institutions Partnership. The 600 businesses who've received technical assistance training or financing along the corridor to help adapt to that market change. The bike and ped initiatives along the corridor that are underway. And I won't do it now, but you can focus in and see Charles Avenue. You can see the Frogtown Active Transportation Program. You can see all the nice ride stops. The community-based plans that have gone on in the last 5 years that the Funders Collaborative has been a part of, again, to make sure every place is a solid community vision to work from. The cultural districts that are emerging along the corridor. The 150, is that right? Irrigate placemaking projects that have taken place along the corridor. The pop-up shop that Starling did over in St. Anthony Park last summer. The internships, the HECUA Central Corridor internships that have helped communities build capacity to adapt to the changes in the corridor. And finally, that's everything. So that tells a story at least of lots and lots of the great work that's underway in the corridor.